Danforth instructs the courtroom to be absolutely silent. No one is to talk to or even look at Elizabeth Proctor when she arrives. John Proctor turns his back to the door, so does Abigail, and Elizabeth is led into the courtroom. Danforth questions Elizabeth about Abigail and asks if her husband was ever adulterous. Elizabeth doesn't want to answer him and looks to John anxiously. Danforth grabs her by the face and turns her eyes towards his own, demanding to know, "Is your husband a lecher?" In an attempt to protect her husband's name, Elizabeth lies and says no. John Proctor is crushed. He turns and begs Elizabeth to tell the truth, but she is quickly dismissed from the courtroom. Abigail commences her charade, pretending again to see Mary Warren's spirit. Mary defends herself desperately, but the girls join in and begin to repeat everything Mary says. The courtroom becomes a scene of utter confusion and chaos as the girls press their tormentor. Mary finally breaks down. Screaming hysterically, Mary turns on John and accuses him of sending his spirit upon her. Danforth demands a confession from Proctor. When Proctor cries out that God is dead, Danforth rules he be taken to jail. Reverend Hale denounces the proceedings and quits the court. Elizabeth lies to protect the good name of her husband, and in that tragic instant, the truth of Proctor's story and Abigail's deceit of the court is forgotten. For John and Elizabeth, what happens serves to reinforce the genuine love and devotion they each feel for one another. John had hoped to trade his actual guilt for Elizabeth's assumed guilt. Elizabeth, of course, wanted to prevent her husband from being ruined. But in this court, there is no room for context, and the moment she lied, John's credibility disappeared. What happens then is another example of characters resorting to tactics of self-preservation. Abigail and the girls persist in tormenting Mary Warren, who realizes her chances of survival are greater with the girls, not against them. So, Mary screams and turns on John Proctor, swearing that he had sent his spirit upon her. The court, of course, is inclined to believe it. After all, Proctor has just publicly been proved a liar. The courtroom has reached a fever pitch of hysteria as Proctor responds wildly to accusations of consorting with the devil. Danforth demands to know, "Will you confess yourself, be fouled with hell, or do you keep this black allegiance yet? What say you?" Proctor cannot believe that it has come to this. His response is that of a man who has lost all hope. I say, God is dead."